During the 1990s, a number of research projects focused on identifying the social impacts that might result from not owning a computer or having access to the internet. The term digital divide was introduced to describe the differences observed between the haves and the have-nots. Efforts to resolve the digital divide have seen the Australian government spend $2.4 billion to provide laptops and broadband for high school children, and a forecast $56 to $94 billion for the national broadband network. Some researchers argue that while we may have almost closed the digital divide, we've actually created a new set of issues proposed under banner titles such as the reverse digital divide and digital differentiation. So, how do we know that the original digital divide is closing, and what issues are we seeing as a result? In the late 1990s, less than a quarter of all households in the developed world, and only 2% globally, had a computer and access to the internet. By the 1st of July this year, internet usage figures showed that around 90% of households in the developed world, 46% globally, are now on the internet. This is due mainly to national broadband initiatives and mobile internet deployments, and this number is still increasing. A number of new dividing issues are being reported around the world. Firstly, let's say that you and one of your classmates are asked to do a presentation. You have fibre-based broadband, but your friend is limited to first version ADSL delivered over an aged and corroded copper phone line. The deadline is tomorrow. You are able to access information and textbooks from all over the world, including videos of lectures given by eminent professors at exclusive universities. It sometimes takes a minute or more for a web page to download for your friend. Large files and video for him are simply out of the question. Obviously, you are able to turn in a much higher quality presentation and are more likely to receive a greater mark, even though the only thing that might have separated the two of you academically was your access to resources. Some studies demonstrate that even as we've seen computer ownership and access to internet connectivity increase, the expected reduction in the skills gap and effective uses has not occurred. This is seen where many who have come to computers in their older years can do little more than browse web pages and write emails. The hunt and peck generation, as they're sometimes called. And in our adolescents, who are more likely to use the internet for gaming and media consumption than as an information or educational resource. Another significant issue limiting computer and internet uptake is content. The availability of content in an appropriate language affects the diffusion of the internet. More content in a given language leads to more users in a country where that language is spoken. The United Nations has highlighted the issue that dominance of these Western and European languages has severely limited the spread of the internet into those countries that are not fully literate in one of these languages. Studies completed in 2004 showed little internet uptake in these countries. And when that study was updated again in 2008, very little growth was observed in internet usage. In these countries, only a very small percentage of the population even knew about the internet. Fewer still were using it. A recent study found that while in the first 3 decades of its history, the internet was dominated by people of middle and high level of education, both inside and outside of their school, today it is dominated by those who are lower educated, unemployed and disabled. They are using the internet much more than their employed and better educated counterparts. To recap what we've just discussed, firstly, we saw that the original digital divide, which was all about those who had a computer and internet access and those who did not, has been steadily closing. It has been closing as a result of massive government spends around the world in infrastructure and services that are making the internet available to the vast majority of the population of many countries. Next, we saw that new dividing issues have gradually emerged. The speed of your internet connection can affect your usage by limiting or expanding the content and services you are able to access. Computer and internet usage skills have not kept up with availability, meaning that there is still a significant skills gap. A lack of skills limits the number of different things you can do with your computer or on the internet. Older people still have issues with computer usage, while younger people use the internet more as an extension of their computer toy than as an educational tool. We saw that the type of content that is available and the language it is in limits uptake of the internet in countries where that language is not spoken. And finally, we saw that there has been a shift in internet users themselves, that its chief users are now those with lower education, unemployment, and those with disabilities. Clearly, we have more work to do before the ubiquity of the internet can be seen as truly equal for everyone.